Hi there, and welcome to SOS Stories of Survivors. I'm your host, Serina Dansker, and joining me today is my self-love club. I have Jojo Tierney, Mary Gleason, and Christine Johansson. Welcome, ladies, and welcome, listeners. Today, we're going to talk about grief and trauma in honor of Suicide Prevention Month, which is September. We want to talk about opening up our hearts, our minds, about grief and trauma, and really the ways that self-love carries us through it. Thank you so much for sharing this moment with us, and we're going to get right to it. And I'm going to ask each of my friends to maybe mention one word or phrase on how they're feeling today, and maybe one act of self-love that helped you this week. I'll start with you, Jojo.
I feel very peaceful. I had a really nice gathering with my family recently. It was impromptu. Like 12 of them were able to get there. We had a nice little barbecue, lots of great food, fun, laughs, pictures. So it was a really nice gathering. And sometimes those impromptu things work and make you feel good.
Oh, those are the best. It really is.
Yeah.
How about you, Mary?
I feel joyful. I had a great trip down this morning. It was totally unexpected. It was like a little catch up with some of my favorite people.
I love that.
It was great.
That's
Thanks.
awesome.
Yeah.
Christine?
I beg to differ. I'm feeling anxious.
Aw.
I don't know why. It's just been a heck of a week and a lot of racing around, but it helps to be here. So.
It does, and I'm grateful. I feel grateful. I'm grateful for all of you for being here. I had an amazing week. I had lost something, a piece of jewelry about 2 years ago, and it was bothering me for the last 2 years how I could be so careless and forgetful for something that really meant a lot to me. And so I had thought I had put it in a tissue box or, just to keep it off the counter, and then it got thrown away. And I was just my carelessness, because sometimes I move so fast, I forget what I just did. And this is one of those instances. But here's where never give up comes in, because the other day I was in my jewelry box and I'm looking once again for another piece of jewelry, and the drawer would not close. And I'm like, why isn't this thing closing? And so I pull out the whole drawer, and lo and behold, sitting behind the drawer was the necklace I was looking for this whole time. So I was like, wow. So that was my good thing for this week. So it made me feel really good. So let's talk a little bit about our experiences with grief or trauma. When you hear the word grief or trauma, what comes up for you personally? Anybody want to start?
Well, each person, I think it's different for each person,
Yeah.
and you have to process it differently, and it can mean different things to different people, and it doesn't just mean death, like, we were mentioning. And I don't try and build a wall around myself when I encounter grief or trauma, but sometimes I try and put on a braver front and, just look what I could do that's more constructive, because sometimes, how you react can just throw you down a rabbit hole sometimes, so.
Absolutely. I think your reaction means everything, when you're going through it. I mean, for me, when I think about grief or trauma, it's almost like there's like a void in the center of my being, and sometimes you want to fill that void with anything, food, alcohol. Usually it's not the stuff that I fill it with that's good for me. But as I'm growing and I'm learning on this journey, it's a lot easier for me to fill it with love or friendship or companionship or just, talking
Something
to
constructive.
people. Yes. What about you, Mary?
I have to be careful with grief because it washes over me and I sometimes let it take me.
That's good.
Yeah, it's good, but it can be scary.
Yeah.
In what sense? What do you mean it takes you?
It's like all these, like I feel it right now. All these
It's okay,
feelings,
let it out. Yeah.
come over me, and it's
Oh, honey,
Do
I
you
know.
mean with your
With
cancer?
everybody. No, wherever I see it,
Yeah.
wherever I see it.
You feel it, but that's good that you let it out and you
I
live
do,
in the
but
moment.
I have to remember to be kind to myself as I'm going through it, because I really feel like I feel on a different level than a lot of people.
Yes, I can totally relate to that, and that's such a great point, Mary, because it comes in waves. It's not constant.
No.
It's sometimes, I think someone once told me, it's like when you're in the ocean and you're treading water.
Yeah.
and you're doing okay for a little bit. You're floating,
Yeah,
you're
you
all
forget
right.
about it for like a second,
And-
then it just
And
comes
this
back.
rogue wave comes and
Yeah.
knocks you over, you
Yeah.
know? I mean, and yeah. And how do you get through those moments when
I
you're
just try to be strong. I think of all the things that I'm feeling this way because that person or that thing I was dealing with meant an awful lot to me.
yeah.
So that's a good thing. And that's what I really try to encourage in my kids is I probably need to pick this up to talk too. Is that I need to, like, it's okay to feel sad, but
Yeah.
don't let it keep you sad. Like there's been moments that it's been really hard to like push forward. And I'm sure all of us have been there, but
Yeah.
I have to teach those that are watching that it's really important to feel that and move on.
But also, you know, to feel it, but and to acknowledge it.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
if you feel it and you push it down, it's still there, and it will resurface at some point. But I think that's beautiful that you sit with it, and sometimes you it's coming up because you need to sit with it, and you need to have those feelings so that you can figure out how to move forward or take that next step.
When I think of grief and trauma, I think about there's so many different levels and so many different types of trauma and different types of grief. Like you said, we all experience it differently. But when I look at my own trauma and grief, there's been different levels. And so it depends on what level we're talking about. Like I think about what you're living with, cancer and the fear. So that's like one level that I can't really understand, the fear of having to live with that. You know, maybe I live with it on a certain extent, the fear of something happening to one of my kids or what have you. And I think about the trauma of childhood trauma or like the grief of losing my husband. So there's different levels. And like when someone says, yeah, I'm so sorry you lost your husband, you know, when my grandmother passed away. Well, excuse me. It's a different level because your grandmother was of a certain age and she wasn't your life partner or the parent to your children. So please don't compare the loss of your grandmother to the loss of my 50-something-year-old husband. Now, I know that sounds harsh, but like I said, there's different levels.
There are.
And that's what I think. So I try to be sensitive to that. Like the loss of a child, I honestly, that's such a deep level.
Yeah.
And that's why I admire both of you.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I think what surprised me most about grief was how similar it is to trauma. You know, when I lost my son, which, you know, is a loss beyond loss, and I recognized that pit in my soul, that feeling that because I've been through trauma before, and this was all too familiar, and I knew that I need to not wallow in that. For me as a person, I needed to say, okay, I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to recognize this, but I'm not going to let it define who I am and who I'm trying to be. And like you say, Mary, I needed to set an example for my son's siblings to let them know that, you know what, it's okay to be vulnerable right now. This is something so traumatic and so shocking and so unbelievably devastating that you need to take a breath and you need to recognize and acknowledge it and figure out for yourself how you're going to continue in this world without that person there. And I've read a lot of books. People would leave books for me in my mailbox when this happened. And one of the biggest misconceptions that I came across, and I'm going to ask you guys what you think, is that, you know, there are 5 stages of grief. The stage 1.
What did they start on 4?
You're going to go through, and I'm like, I didn't find it that way. What about you? Go ahead, JoJo.
No, I think, you know, what sometimes is, takes you off guard is like how it can consume you, you know, like you were saying before, and everyone here, you get hit in different, places, and it impacts people in different ways based on what the circumstances were, you know, and who's involved, and, you know, what your personal journey was, so you want to make sure that, you can just, process it, and do something healthy and constructive,
Right.
and, work your way through it, whatever works best for you.
It's so true. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, Mary, you were saying that sometimes the same.
Like the people that have already passed, they've been gone for years, and something will trigger it, and it'll be like it happened yesterday.
Yeah, yeah,
It's the strangest thing.
it is.
Yeah, and then I forget how much those people meant to other people, right? Because those
Yes.
connections there, and then I feel sad for that. So it's hard to like. It's not just about me. It's about how did that person touch a whole bunch of people around me, and those people don't have like they've lost that as well. That's heartbreaking to me.
The
Like
rippling
the kids
effect.
with their
Yeah, and I
grandparents
think of
or
your kids
your-
without Chris. It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking to me.
It is. It
Like
is.
it's enough that I know for you, but for
Mary, grab your
them,
mic.
for them, I think it's just really it's going to be really tough growing up without a dad.
It
Without your
is. Yeah, it is. And you know, it's so sad because people lose sight of the impact that, you know, that one person that all
The
they've
touches,
touched
yeah.
and the different areas of it, and the loss is so profound, you know, because your whole life changes, you know, when that one person is no longer in this realm. I will not say he's no longer here, because I will tell you that their energy, whether you believe it or not, surrounds us
Yeah.
every day. But Christine, talk about it.
Well, I think for me, one of the biggest misconceptions is I really couldn't believe how many people wouldn't say anything about my husband passing. Not even initially when he first passed away, reaching out, which, okay, you missed that. But then when I bumped into you, whether it was 3 months or 6 months later, not people who I worked with, I was out for 2 weeks. So when I came back, just couldn't say, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I know that people have said, well, you look like you were smiling and you're in a good mood, and I didn't want to bring it up and remind you.
As
Well,
if you
there's no
forget.
reminding. We live with it every second,
Yeah.
but we still want to laugh, we still want to smile, and we still want you to acknowledge it and just say, I'm sorry for your loss. That's all you have to say. How are you? You know, acknowledge it. We're not forgetting. There is no forgetting. There's just carrying on. And to ignore it is just such a level of immaturity and almost like cowardliness.
Yeah.
And, you know, I speak from experience because I've done it too. So this is
Because
one
you
of the way
don't-
that I've evolved, that we talked about and grown.
Yes.
And I'll never do that
Oh,
to someone.
nice to recognize that.
But it
Yeah.
is, and the thing is not everybody is comfortable or knows the right thing to say, so they say nothing,
Right.
Right.
as you say,
They're
and
awkward. Yeah.
they're awkward.
Or they do something because they can't say anything. Send a card.
They'll send a
Yeah.
card or flowers,
Yeah.
and sometimes they don't know how to, I guess, address things. And
Right.
you know, we talked earlier, was we had said that who you are before you go through the grief and the trauma to who you are on the other side of that are two totally different people. I like to equate my journey to something like the Japanese art of kintsugi, which is basically, it's pottery, right? That's been broken and it's put back together and glued with like a gold inlay. So it's actually, it's pottery, it's reshaped, it's different, but it's still beautiful.
Right.
And I think that once you're shattered and you go through everything we've gone through in our lives, that as we put ourselves back together, it's not perfect. It's never meant to be. But you know what? We are reshaped, and our light shines through even brighter.
More
And-
vibrant.
We're more vibrant, and we're more, I think we give ourselves more grace.
Yeah, more sensitive, and you give other people more grace.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Yes. And you were going to go on to that, Mary. You were going to talk about how people, when they learn about your trauma or your grief, you were going to.
Yeah, one of the biggest things I had was a great big opening of my like smash it and look at it from a different perspective. Was I knew how well supported I was through my friends,
Yes.
but when I got really sick, it was like I had people to people reaching out to me.
Mhm.
That was amazing. And my kids had never, and I hate to keep going back to my
No,
kids,
it's good.
they're a good example of like how you can perceive things. They had never seen that and didn't understand that. How was I so fortunate to know so many people that were willing to help me because they don't know what that's like. They know my family, but this was well beyond my family. And I'm like, you put out in life what you get back.
That's
like, I
right.
really believe you need to shine that light outward
Yes.
and reflect it on yourself when you need some help.
Hmm.
It's kind of like put up my little SOS.
Well,
Yes.
and I
Yeah.
love that. Oh, Mary, I love that. And it's true. You don't realize, you know, you go about your life and you're a good person and you do things just because you would. But when you're in need and when you're going through all that trauma, I didn't realize how my community was going to come together and try and support me and lift me up. And I have to say that it made all the difference for me. It really did. My friends were there, you know, my family were there, but strangers
Yeah.
would drop off gift cards for go get a meal somewhere,
Yeah.
you know, or drop off a book. People I knew peripherally, you know, that
Yes.
or that were friends of my sons, you know, and when you're going through things and I knew I wanted to do something on like his birthday after he passed, but I didn't know what. So I invited his friends over. And I bought these rocks at the garden center and some paint. And I'm like, you know, spray paint and little paints. And I'm like, we're going to paint rocks and put them on his grave. And they were all in.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
And it just, and the messages that they wrote and the artistry that these kids had blew me away. And then when I put it there, it was the most beautiful graveside in the entire cemetery because it was so colorful.
Because it had light
know?
to it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
did, you know, and so these are just ways that we deal with things. You
I
know?
think that's beautiful. And yeah, I wanted to add on to that there are so many people who don't know what to say or how to help.
Yeah.
But then there's people in the world who are really, really good at that. And it's I don't know how they've learned this skill, but it's so appreciated. People in the community had come to me and to my kids that I barely knew or who I really didn't think I liked, and they were helping me like plan the services. And maybe they were only there for that reason or that season, but it's I'll never forget
Made a
it.
difference.
And it made such a difference. And those kindnesses, those meals, those gift cards went such a long way, and it helps you to feel less alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You know, it's something that's you know gone on in my life since I lost my son is you know you meet someone new, and sometimes someone will say something so innocent to me like, "How many children do you have?"
Mm.
Yeah.
And you know it's a normal everyday interesting question, and I find myself sometimes hesitating because how do I want to answer this? Do I want to go into, well, I have triplets, 2 are here and one's on a different path, you know, or do I do what my husband does and say I have twins in college? Or do I go into it if they are really pushing, oh, what are the kids, what are your trip, where are they, what are they doing?
Yeah.
You know, do I tell them, well, my son is in heaven, you know, he passed away by suicide, and you know, my other 2 are living their lives in college and carrying on their life in his memory and carrying forward him and but then it gets awkward. So
There's no proper etiquette on how to address raw emotion.
I think I just sucked the wind out of the balloon, the air out of the room. Yeah.
No, it's really tough for people to engage like that, and then you know they don't want to make you feel bad, then they feel awkward, and there's no proper skill set, and then based on people like Christine said, your reference point where you're dealing from and what you can offer people, you know, and then people get stifled. So it's just you know it's you have to be open and you have to have grace on both ends because people are gonna not do the right thing, and you might be emotional or you might take things more personally, and which it is. It's happens to you. It's personal, but you have to like take the help where you know it's coming from, and it's you know hopefully meant from a good place from everyone, but it doesn't always get delivered the proper way.
That's true too. That's really true.
Yeah, I don't think that there's a proper way in your situation to answer that question. It depends on where you are, how you're feeling that day, who you're talking to, the vibe you get, and just and that answer may change from day to day, year to year, person to person.
And it does.
And
I
that's
find that
fine.
it does.
And it's
You
more
know?
important for you how you answer
Yeah.
it than what that person
What you're
is.
feeling.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
that's true, Mary. And I lose sight of that sometimes because I'm such an empath that I'm so concerned of ruining their day by telling them my story. But I try and I do. And you're right, Christine. There are certain people where I'm just perfectly, I have to, they're twins, they're in college, and I leave it at that. And in my head though, I'm like, sorry, Scott, I'm just leaving you out today, because he's never forgotten. He's always with me, whether I'm laughing or doing something fun, it's not that I've forgotten, every moment of every day, your trauma, your grief is it's always there, but sometimes you have the beauty of living in the moment and just doing things that matter at that moment and not focusing on everything else. Let's talk a little bit about setting boundaries. Sometimes you need to do that because sometimes people don't realize that they're, getting a little too personal with you, or maybe they want more from you than you are able to give at that time. And so for me, a small boundary that I've recently set that's more of an act of self-love is I try and address people in a way where I feel like I'm just shining my light on them. And by doing that, what I'm doing is I'm protecting myself. I'm shining my light on me, but I'm trying to, like, for example, if Jojo, you came to me with something going on and I care about you, but I don't know how I am mentally, whatever, I try and protect myself and
Save your bandwidth.
Save my bandwidth, and then shine my light on you and just be there for you, not solve your problems, but just be there for you to air out what you're going through and to listen and try and protect myself that way instead of giving and giving and giving. If that makes sense.
Something along the lines of that, like where my boundaries are is like with my time, like with scheduling things, and I'm pretty selfish with my time. I schedule everything. I'm like I try and stay organized to keep the chaos, in line. So with my time, it's the same kind of thing. Like I want to give people my time because I love a lot of people. I want to spend time with them, but I have to also reel it in and make sure I have time to make sure that I can keep organized and I could keep things, sane in my life.
Right, because you're only as good as you're only able to help people if you're coming from a good place.
Right, and it's okay sometimes to say it's not a good time right now.
Yeah,
people are really afraid to say no. I can't do this. I got to answer the call. Oh, the text came in. I got to look at that text. Oh, my phone's been. Oh, you know what? Shut it all down for a half hour.
So true.
Take a few minutes for yourself. And I think that's really important for the youth of today because they're so oversaturated with stuff coming at them. I'm afraid they're going to get not grief resistant, but not feel the real feel because they haven't been able to develop that skill.
That's so true. They don't.
That connection.
They feel grief. They feel people that are close to them. But, would they be, and when somebody's older, be that ancillary person? That person really doesn't matter to you, but you show up anyway.
Yeah.
That's something you learn. You don't just like get born with it.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think those people that show up when you're at your worst and deep into your grief, and keep showing up. Like some people show up, they bring a meal, they pay their respects, and you don't see them again. That's fine. They've fulfilled their obligation. Other people show up, and those are your people.
They are.
So those are the people that I want to invest my time in.
Absolutely.
And so when you talk about boundaries, like I remember a couple months after my husband died, it was my birthday and our 25th wedding anniversary. And a friend of mine was throwing her husband a birthday party, like literally that week. And I didn't go because you know what? That's too emotional for me.
Yeah.
And then another friend has renewal of vows coming up at the Fish and Game Club where my husband used to be on the board. And you know what? I said yes, but if that day I wake up and it feels too emotional for me, I'm not going to go. Yeah. Because I have to be taking care of myself first.
That's your boundary.
And that's what I'm learning now too. Like my mom is ill and she has cancer and she's been in the hospital and I'm an only child and to I want to be there for her and do everything for her, but there are times when it's so overwhelming for me that I have to just take a step back and just say, Mom, I'm sorry. And she's like, don't worry about it. I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Only the good die young. Don't worry.
Your mom's a
But-
tough cookie.
Yeah. She's a tough cookie. And you know, and she understands that I need to take care of me. And if it means taking a weekend and going away
Yeah.
to recharge my batteries, I do that. And I would love to ask you guys, what's something you've learned on this journey that you wish you knew earlier?
Hmm.
Oh wow.
So much. I don't know where to begin. Oh my God.
You know, I mean, for me, I wish I recognized more and paid more attention to my surroundings. So, for example, if I saw someone and I really liked their shoes walking down the street, me, before what happened with Scott, would have acknowledged in my head, noticed, oh, those are really cute shoes, but said nothing. Me now will go up to that woman and say, I love those shoes. They look amazing on you. Or your smile is radiant. Or your hair looks fabulous. Because does it take anything for me to do that?
No.
And do I know what impact it's going to have on that person? I don't, but I'm thinking it's probably not going to be taken, you know.
It's positive.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all positive feedback. And I had the situation reversed on me. I was running to the grocery stores and I was in my tennis clothes, and some gentleman who was getting the wagons, he's like your kicks. And I'm like, you do?
I'll go one further. I got hit on at the big.
Oh, yes.
Do tell, please. Let's hear this one.
That's a real ego booster, let me tell you.
But what was the line? What was the pickup?
Oh, the pickup. I had the brace on, of course. So I had the brace on my leg for my broken ankle, and it's a great line opener because I've had more than one guy use it. But this guy was like totally like targeted in on me. Like,
Wow.
asking about kids, if I was married. Like, I'm waiting for bagels. Right?
I don't want to take any extra on the
But
side.
it does make you feel good.
It does make you feel good.
It really does. And there wasn't anything I was looking to pursue or encourage, but I
of
was like
course.
laughing about it. I'm like, oh my God, I got hit on.
It,
That's
do,
very
it,
funny.
it makes
Just
your
enjoying the
day.
It does give you a bit of self-worth. It's kind of, it bothers me sometimes that I have to be liked like that to appreciate what I can offer because I forget it.
But that's the
But
exact
that's-
reason why it's nice to hear it
Here,
from someone
yeah,
else.
yeah.
And it does. It's, you know, people, we, for ourselves, are so quick to cut ourselves down. Oh, my hair looks like,
Minimize
you know.
ourselves.
Yes. And
Yes.
also, you know, we all know our own faults better than anybody else could, you know, bring out. But when was the last time you say to yourself, wow, my hair looks great today? you just don't, you
It
know.
doesn't sound the same when it's coming from you.
Yeah.
It sounds better coming from somebody
That's true. You're
else.
all on borrowed time. Like my boss told me, this is not a dress rehearsal. So you have to use all of the time you have and say what you want to say. Like live each day that you want to embrace it, and you know, let people know you care about them. Let you know yourself you care about yourself,
Yes.
and you know your family and friends, because you know you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So you want to make sure that you make those comments to those people. I'm sure you brought a lot of smiles to someone and boosted their ego, like you. You know, just give yourself a little perk and peck, you know,
Yeah.
positive energy, you know, it's all good
It's all
stuff.
good stuff.
Yeah.
It really is. What about you, Christine?
No, I agree with what Jojo just said, that I guess when I think about it is I'm going to say what I want to say, if it's kind. And like a friend mine was diagnosed with cancer, and I called and said what I had to say because I wanted him to know, and I
Yeah.
want to say these things.
Yeah.
And he was like, whoa, I'm not dying yet. And I know, but
But you don't
I
have
want
regrets,
you
you know, you don't want to
know
miss
this
opportunity.
now, 'cause
Right.
maybe I'll be gone tomorrow.
We don't know.
You
You're-
know,
that's
say what you want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm reading this book by Eckhart Tolle, and it's called The Power of Now and living in the moment, because you know the past is gone. You know, the future we have no control over.
Right.
But right now, so many of us let it go. You know, we take it for granted. We're so worried about, oh, next week and next month, or that we're not enjoying the moment or being with our friends and just being. And I think that if there's something that I'm learning, or something I've learned on this journey that I wish I knew earlier, is to don't worry so much about the stuff I can't control.
Yeah.
And just my reaction, that's what I can control. And focus on that. Focus on the now and the things that are important now, because, like, we don't know if it's
None
going
of
to be
us
here
know. Doesn't
tomorrow.
matter. Yeah.
And to worry about that.
So would you want to know if you could know?
Absolutely.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I had my
Elaborate on that. Wait, come on, Jojo, elaborate. Yeah. Elaborate on that.
When I was very young, and side note, I read tarot cards, and so did my grandmother, and that's in my family. And when I was very young, I was 15. I had pestered my grandmother to read my cards, and she read my cards, and the cards sort of determined that I was going to have a very short lifespan. So I did live every day as if that might be my determination.
Wow.
But I was like really confident in knowing that date. And then when that date came and went, I was like, wow, I've got all this bonus time. But I made a lot of decisions based on that, but I don't regret it. I don't regret anything. I really, took a lot of chances and did a lot of things and made a lot of decisions based on, well, I've got limited time. I got to do it. But a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people think I'm going to live till I'm 85,
right,
and they spend their life meandering around. But I took the, bull by the horns a little bit earlier in life, because I was just like, I might have a limited time, but more people should do that, because then you get a lot more out of life that way. At least
I think that's beautiful. I really do. Yeah. I do. I like that. What about you? Answer your own question. What would you?
I would want to know. I would. I don't know absolutely. I think I'd be a little fearful of it, but it would kind of settle. Like, having a disease that I have kind of always has me on the tetherhooks of whether am I going to wake up and another month from now I'll be dead or whatever. It'd be kind of nice just to put it away in a box and be like, all right, I know when the date's coming. I'm not crazy about it, but I know when it's coming.
When it's going to be, and if you can't
then
change
you
it,
can plan some stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe I should live that way anyway.
Maybe you should.
That's the lesson.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Wow. So let's do a little JoJo.
Yeah.
Plan as if you do know the date.
Yeah.
And live your life to the
Be a little fuller with it.
fuller. Yes.
What I think about sometimes is how you were diagnosed with cancer, and Sean was diagnosed with cancer, and my friend Kevin was diagnosed with cancer, and I never dreamed that my husband would pass before everyone.
Yeah.
So you see how unpredictable it is, and we all know that, but do we live it and really know it and remember it? And that's something I try to do.
But your husband died. It was an accident. So
Yeah.
so it was not. He wasn't sick. It wasn't planned. So so
It happened to
there
anybody.
it was spontaneous, and it wasn't something where he was, into drugs or anything like that.
Nothing was leading up to it.
Nothing was leading up to it, and so that coming out of the, how does that affect you as opposed to someone who's been sick and going through cancer and going through those treatments and passes? Is there a difference when you, I guess the way that grief, would you want to know what your future held if it was going to be spontaneous or illness? Would that make a difference? Is what I'm asking.
I don't know. I think about that. Would I want would I want to have had a warning?
Yeah.
Or not? And I really don't know what's better, or what I would prefer, or what I prefer when it comes to my own death. I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Complicated.
Yeah, it is complicated. I think older me would not have wanted to know. Like the old me, prior would
Younger
just
you too.
my younger me, right, would be like, no, I'm good. I don't want to know.
Sometimes the younger you doesn't believe you're going to be that old anyway. Well, right?
Or sometimes the younger you thinks you're going to live forever. Invincible too, right? It's just, it can happen. But as I get older, I had an opportunity to find out that if I have that gene that causes cancer, to take a test. And they said, well, do you want to know, all these other things that they can test for as well? And I'm like, well, if I'm going to test and see if I have this gene, I might as well go the gamut. And my husband's like, why? Why do you want to know? And I'm like, because this way I can prepare now. And it's interesting. Younger me
might be able to do something preventative. Like me, I was just like, I did 23andMe, I did ancestry, I did everything. Like, test me. What do I got?
But that's it.
Really healthy.
Yeah, I found out I'm healthy, which knock on wood, thank God. But so it won't be from my DNA, it'll be the environment that gets me. My bad habits, Oh boy. All right. So, how do you honor your story without feeling pressure to move forward? Like, in day to day, how do you honor who you are and what you've been through without feeling the pressure to go into great detail and talk about it, or pressure to move forward from what's transpired? Like for me, I'll give you an example. Um, like when people ask me about, how many children do you have, or if they know me, how are you doing today, or they know that's what's going on with my mom. A lot of times I feel that I take it from where it's coming. I take it as they're just interested in my well-being. They're not trying to, bring up anything or stir up anything. And I answer it as honestly as I can. So, especially in the beginning of grief, people would say, well, how are you?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, at this exact moment, I'm okay. Or, well, a few minutes ago, I just had a nice cry in the car because that's what I needed to do. Or, someone says, oh, I see you're out, you're smiling, you're having a good time. And I don't want to feel like I'm being judged for smiling. So I would respond, well, it's actually really nice to be out and enjoying my life, especially in light of everything that's happened, that I have a little lightness and love.
I think you can't go on someone else's timeline. I mean, it's a very
Yes.
personal journey, grief and trauma, and it's how you process it and how you get to the next phase, or if you have setbacks, or you can propel. Like, you shouldn't go by someone else's judging. You're like, oh, her, this one passed and she's married in 2 weeks. I mean, you can't. Everyone's story is different. Everyone processes things differently. So you can't be on someone else's timeline, and you can't let that judgment. It's up to you how you feel and how you process it and how you can move forward to make healthy, good life boundaries.
Right. And it comes in all shapes and sizes. Like it could be a death, it could be a divorce, and depending on what you're going through and how you felt in that situation, really it's different for everyone.
I wanted to add on to something you both said. So before you said, well, it's a very personal journey, right? I can't wallow in that space. Like, I cannot live in that space. I can't be that little old widow who wears black for the next 10, 15, 20 years. It doesn't work for me. I see that as wallowing.
Right.
I'm in some online widow groups, and 6 years I still cry every day, and I'm like, nope. I have to put on my big girl panties, take my antidepressant, get to the gym and exercise, because I am giving an example to my kids. I need to live every day. I need to laugh. I need to have joy. I need to have spa days. And I'm sure there'll be people who judge me for that, but that's the way I move forward.
Oh my God,
that's healthy for you.
And
That's
Chris would want me to.
Chris was always the jokes. Chris was the light.
Yes,
in
he
the
was
room.
the light in the room.
Never like the Debbie Downer.
No.
That is
Always first to tell the dirty joke.
Yeah, exactly. But you're bringing his spirit into it as well by doing that.
You're honoring him in reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do. Oh,
No, and I think that's healthy for you, and and then you're honoring him in the same light.
And it's true. And for one thing that Brad and I did after Scott had passed is, before he passed, we had signed up for this pickleball class, because we wanted to learn pickleball. It's the newest craze. And but it was great because right afterwards there was another couple who didn't know us. The coach who was teaching us the pickleball didn't know us. So for an hour and a half every week, we played pickleball with people that didn't know the trauma we were feeling.
That's
So
great.
so they just talked to us like another new
Like a
couple.
little escape. It was like a little escape.
Exactly. And we just, played, and it was amazing. We got to laugh and feel like normal people and live in the present moment.
Yeah.
And Scott's still in your heart, and you're taking him everywhere.
Exactly.
But she's just tucked there, while
He's in the sunsets. He's in the breezes. I say Scott's name all the time, and his energy surrounds me. I feel him, and it's beautiful. But at the same time, I still have to honor who I am and my energy.
Right.
And these are some of the ways that I've learned.
An example,
Yes.
being an example, because you all have kids. So I mean, you've got to be an positive example for your kids that, you can't, a death can't, have you die with that person. You have to keep living and be that example.
Right. A lot of people see that as dedication or true love, or you know,
Right.
a devoted, loving parent, but I think it's kind of just an easy way to give up. And
Yeah.
when you refuse to do that, and look, and I'm not judging those who can't move on because they
Right.
come from a different place.
Yep.
And I pray for those people, and I'm just
Oh,
grateful
yeah.
that I'm inspired by people like you who want to move forward like I want to move forward.
Yeah.
It's just different. We all are on different journeys, if you will.
Yes.
And for some of us, and I don't know what makes us different. Some of us were able to wipe the dirt off our knees and you know, glue ourselves back together as best we can, and our light will shine differently,
Yeah.
but it will still shine. And for others, they just don't have that gumption to get out of bed or to, you know, continue on their journey,
Yeah.
that they feel the part of them that's gone is gone forever. And I don't feel that. I feel that he's just not here physically, but his energy is here. And that's, for me, what helps keep me going.
And I'm so proud of you for that, because
Yeah.
my mother's sister lost her son, her only child, and she never progressed, never got over it, turned into a bitter woman, and it's so sad.
It's even doubly tragic because they
That
both
is,
lost
yes.
their life,
Yeah.
basically. You know,
I mean, there are no words for that, but I'm going to try and lighten this up a little bit. In front of you, I put a little card called the Little Box of Positivity. So if you flip it over, and I'll read mine. I need my glasses. I can't see anymore. Okay. Mine says, we need to learn to love ourselves first in all our glory and our imperfections. John Lennon. So let's talk about that. So, I mean, we've been talking about that, loving yourself first, self-love. So let's talk about the self-love portion of this. Learning to appreciate who you are is more important, I think, than finding your own faults and figuring out what those are. But praising yourself for the good you're doing and the love you're generating, and loving yourself. You have, so one thing I do for self-love that I've done my whole life is when I'm having a bad day, I go home, I run the bathtub, I throw in a little bit of Epsom salts or some oils, and I just get it as hot as I can. The steam is going, close the door, blast my music, and it is like a little slice of heaven for me, and it's just something I do. What do you do, JoJo, for your little bit of self-love?
self-love. Lately, I've just been trying to walk. I'm just like a little, walking escape, because I was like getting sluggish, and I just want to get more fit and just have a little clarity, step away from things. And I'm just taking, whether it's on the treadmill or outside or whatever, but just, just getting a peaceful feeling and a little, recharge, and then, get back to things. Yes. A little stepping away.
It's good. Walking is really good for you
Yeah.
too. What about you, Mary?
I try not to make any important decisions before I've had a cup of tea.
I like that.
Because sometimes with people in school and people transitioning work and who's retired, who's not, who's doing, I can get like overwhelmed because everybody in my house is a morning bird except me. I like to I'll sleep till 8 o'clock or stay up till 11. But they'll come to me at like 6 o'clock in the morning. Mom, I need you to sign this. Or I'm like, no. Not doing anything. I can't.
Good.
I don't think right. I really can't. I really just need a moment to wake up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
What about you, Christine?
I'm just more careful lately about where I'm giving my energy and who I'm giving it to. Like, I don't let myself feel forced to fill an empty silence. I don't, if there's someone waiting online next to me and she doesn't look friendly, I'm not going to waste an effort trying to spark conversation. Like, I'm just more protective of my energy.
Good. That's good. Okay. Who's got a card they want to share what it says?
Mine says, I may have been cut down today, but I will flower again tomorrow.
Oh,
It's like having some resilience. Yeah, just, that's like me. I just, I try not to have things, overwhelm me. Or if they do, I can hit the reset button, so.
Do over.
Yeah.
I love that.
Just like you said, get that dust off your knees, get back up again, and, get back in the game, so.
It's more fun playing in the game than it is watching from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really is. It's like, why wouldn't I want to be in that? That looks a hell of a lot more fun.
Yeah. I know, it's just like watching sports on TV. I'm like, some people love that, but I'm just like, I'd rather be playing it than sitting there watching it. You know,
exactly.
So interesting. Wow.
So mine says, I don't think limits. And it's Usain Bolt, who's that like crazy speed runner.
Wow. That reminds me of something that Scott used to say. So we used to always say, you know, sky's the limit, sky's the limit. But when I had a cousin who passed away, and one of her girls did the eulogy, and she said her mom always says that the sky is not the limit, to infinity and beyond. And so that
like
reminds me of that. And so Scott had made me this little stool for his vertically challenged mother. And so on it, he had wrote all these sayings. And one of the sayings he wrote is, the sky is not the limit, to infinity and beyond.
I love that.
And I live by that. I really
Yeah.
do. What does yours say, Christine?
Mine says a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I love that. And I think it goes back to what we were saying about moving forward. You know, it could be just getting out of bed in the morning and taking a shower and cooking a meal for your kids.
Yeah. Or for yourself.
Yeah.
You know, you do need to feed the soul and feed your body and nourish it and love it. And these are all things we have to do for ourselves to keep our health, right? Okay, so let's see. What is one song that comforts you?
Moby, This Wild Darkness, I think it's called. It's just an eerie, soothing song, and it's like always puts me in a better mood when I hear it on. Like, it's terrible because sometimes Sean and I'll be on a road trip and we'll repeat it 10 times.
Wow.
Because it's just that just puts you in just such a good, you know, vibe kind of
We're going to
way.
have to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
love that.
It's an older song, but and it's long. I think it's like 5 minutes long or whatever, the extended version. But it's a really, you know, peaceful kind of like just, you know, I don't know. It just puts me in a good mood.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Christine?
I don't have one. I
No.
can't think of anything.
I have two.
Oh,
So
good.
I have one that's to get me going. That's like really good as Foo Fighters, Everlong.
Yes,
Love it.
that's an awesome
Like
song.
I get my kids now listening to the drum solos with me. So
I love it.
And the other one I have is an old song from my teenage years that still today rings so true for me. And it's about the progression of life and it's called Tiny Dancer. And it's picking up all the little facets of life around you. He references it as a song or a dance until that dance becomes your own.
Is that Elton John?
No,
Tiny
it's
Dancer?
Jackson Brown.
Oh.
Ah.
Little Dancer or something. Tiny.
Oh.
It's something Dancer. I can't think of the first. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful song. And it sounds as good to me today as it did when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
That's amazing. I think I go back to some of the songs that make me happy is like, you know, Don't Stop Believing, you know,
Yeah.
and just things that just I can cry to or I can laugh to, and it just depends on my mood and what I'm going for.
Comfort you either way.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. It's
I have
true.
a little antidote to that is my brother passed away when my son was like 2, so almost 20 years ago, pretty soon. And he was a huge music person, introduced me to a whole bunch of different things. He had a huge CD collection at the time. That was the way everybody was listening to music, was
CDs. Yeah.
So I took the CDs and I put them in a cabinet, and I had a car, and I would drive Colin back and forth to daycare every day, and I would pick a CD out of the shelf. I'd pop it in. I said, "This is
just got
Uncle
goose-
Mike's music." And I learned to love the Beatles, who I never liked before, because
Wow.
I opened myself up to a different way of listening to it.
Yes.
And then I started to listen to music through that he liked and started to learn a little bit about his thoughts. So it was a kind of nice way for me to have some closure with his death.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, I love
Really
that.
beautiful. I love that. I let's see. How about one sentence you tell yourself when it gets hard?
Suck it up. Yeah, I'm a suck it up.
That's a good one.
I like that one too.
Yeah, it's a little hard on yourself though.
Yeah.
It's a little hard.
No, you gotta say, you got this.
Yeah, you
You
got
know?
this. Yeah.
It's like, you got this. You know, make sure that you give yourself that support you know.
I like it's a choice, before we were talking about what's one thing that someone had said to you that, really inspired you, or
Yeah.
however you phrased it when you were going through the depths of your grief or in the beginning. And it was someone I didn't even know that well, and I had bumped into her at the gym, and she's like, I'm so impressed to see you here. She's like, even though it doesn't feel like it, you're getting out of bed and getting here is a choice. You're making a choice. I'm like, oh wow, she's like, because I know women in your position, they're in bed, and it's months later they're in bed. And so even though it doesn't feel like a choice, you feel like you have to get up and you have to cook for your kids or you have to do that. No, you're making the choice to do that.
What a beautiful thing to say
Yeah, it
to
was
someone.
really inspired. It really said, okay,
And that's what it's about.
You don't have to do anything. You make the choice to do those things.
Yes. And it's like certain things don't define you. It's like, this does not define you. You can move on from it. Yeah.
Yes, and I agree. So, and it's funny. One of my cousins had said to me during this, she goes, you're a weeble. And I'm like, what? Do you remember those little egg-shaped weebles, wobbles?
They don't fall down.
So, I went on this little hunt for a weeble on eBay, and I'm like, and it reminds me, no matter how hard life tries to knock you down, or you're trying to hold that weeble down, boop, it pops right back up. And I'm like, you know what? I am a weeble.
I'm proud of it.
Oh my gosh. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you today for coming here and sharing. And I have to tell you that there's so much love that I have for each of you. I mean, we've been friends for so many years, but
decades.
Don't tell our age, Christine. But like JoJo, I mean, you're sharing about, the tarot card reading that inspired you, inspires me, and it makes me realize that I want to be a lot like you and living my life fully. And I think it's beautiful. And Mary, what you've been through in your life and going through the ups and the downs and being in that ocean with the waves hitting you and getting through cancer, but not only getting through cancer, but being there for your friends like Christine and me and JoJo, who have gone through some of the hardest times of our lives. I just think that you're an incredible soul, and it just warms my heart that I get to spend time with you, and I'm so grateful that that your treatments are working. And Christine, I know before any of you, she's my oldest friend. You gotta get that champagne in before I knock it over. You are just so beautiful and inspiring, and I love you from the bottom of my heart like a sister, and I am so inspired by how you hold grace and you're able to articulate so well everything that you've gone through, and you're a great role model for your kids, and I think you're just beautiful, and I just wanted to share that with all of you.
Likewise, and I feel
Say
very
that about you.
yes.
I know I'm great now.
Inspiring.
Yes.
To us and to your kids.
Very impressed, and just so blessed to have you all in my lives.
Oh my God. We are the Self
We're each
Love
other's
Club,
bright lights.
and we do, and support group, and our therapy.
One.
No, because it hits hard to the soul, and so this poem I'm going to share of Scott's is one that he wrote when he was going through it, and it's called "I Got Nobody." Mm-hmm. And he said, "You can only dislike things that can be fixed. Looking at yourself in the mirror, transfixed. My mind is affixed. I can't see what I used to see in myself. All I can see is connect the dots, making an elf. My face is scarred. My body is a lard. This is why I constantly look for attention. I crave to be complimented on my complexion. My mom was right. My acne looks like I was in a fight. My body looks like a bomb site, and my personality makes people take flight. I don't know what's wrong with me. I feel like a mental amputee, like I'm drowning in a never-ending sea, falling deeper down, losing the light that was once within me." And when I hear this, and I used to say to him when he would have acne, he would always pick it, and I would say, "Oh, Scott, don't pick your acne. You look like you're in a fight." But this is what he was feeling, and you don't realize how your words can affect other people. So be kind. Be kind to one another. Be kind to the stranger on the street. If you like their kicks, let them know. Because you just don't know. And if something, or if this talk stirred something in you, you're not alone. We all go through things, but please reach out. In the US, you can text 988 for support. Call us, DM me. I'll always listen. And remember, you deserve gentleness. And I want to thank all our listeners for being with us today, for taking the time and spending this hour with us. It really means the world to me. If you like the show, please like it on Facebook or Insta. Go to sosradio.live, become a member. And here's to great friends, because
Always.
I don't know where
God
I'd
bless.
be without you.
God bless.
God bless.
God bless you.
Love
And
you.
cheers to
Love
our
you
audience. Thank
Love
you.
you.
Love
Cheers.
Cheers.